Hey everyone, and welcome back to Consoles Only. This is the first video in a new series which tries to focus on older classic games. You know how some YouTubers make those hidden gems videos where they talk about games that aren't very well known and can sometimes be quite rare, hard to find and expensive? Well, I really wanted to talk about games that are actually relatively well known and mostly easy to get hold of, but have been basically forgotten about. Or perhaps you could think of it as games that some people were maybe too young at the time to have played or known about, but could possibly go back and play today. Or even someone who is new to collecting and is looking for something good, some good titles to pick up for that collection. The basic idea of these videos is to just show off some classics and remind people that they're still out there and still very playable. So, the game that I wanted to talk about for my first video in this series is Tales of Symphonia Chronicles for the PS3. The original Tales of Symphonia released for the Nintendo Gamecube in 2003 on 2 discs, and has become one of the most beloved RPGs of all time. While it's not a perfect game, it was praised worldwide by critics and fans alike for its real-time battle system, cel-shaded art style, and compelling story. If you've not heard of this game, it may help you to know that it's part of the same series that gave us Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Zestria, and also the currently unreleased Tales of Arise, which should be with us sometime in 2021. A lot of people seem to think that the Tales of Symphonia game was a GameCube exclusive, but as time went on, it arrived on a few other systems. In 2005, the game received a port to the PlayStation 2, but was only released in Japan. Much later though, in 2014, the game was released for the PlayStation 3 in the West under the name Tales of Symphonia Chronicles. This edition also includes the full sequel, Tales of Symphonia Dawn of a New World, on the same disc, although the sequel is considered to be the lesser game by quite a large margin. Both games received remastered HD visuals and some bits of extra content here and there. Fans around the world were hoping that the Chronicles edition would be ported to the PC, but only the first game managed to make the jump with the sequel being omitted entirely. Having said that, not a lot of people seem to care too much about the sequel being excluded, but it would have been nice to have the complete Chronicles package on the PC in my opinion. The sequel was actually released on the Nintendo Wii first of all places, but still remains a polarizing game to this day. I myself was in my very early teens when this game originally released on the Gamecube. I remember being out at the shops with my mum one day, and as always asking to look at the games in the local store. I remember seeing the cover art and thinking that the character in red with the swords looked really awesome. I picked up the case, looked at the back, read it for a moment and bought it there and then. Anime was just starting to become popular in the UK around this time, with the likes of Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Shaman King and Outlaw Star all being shown on English TV. So as a young anime fan, I was very happy when I first booted up the game, because you get an awesome anime opening movie complete with a Japanese opening song before arriving at the main menu. I personally play the game with English dub, but Japanese voiceover is available. I'm not against subtitles in anime or games at all, but when an English dub is available, I generally use it. The only time I would pick subtitles is probably for a live action Japanese movie, but that's just me. You go with whatever suits you. The game has always looked really good to me, even back on the Gamecube, and it's somewhat of a timeless art style as well, due to being cel-shaded. I really like the artistic design of the characters and the world that you explore. Everything is bright and colourful, but at the same time quite understated and on the more simplistic side of anime. For me, that makes the characters feel a little bit more like real people and a little bit more relatable. The gameplay and combat is virtually the same as the more recent Tales games such as Vesperia or Berseria, which has always worked pretty well in my opinion. It involves an overworld map to explore with roaming enemies that when touched will throw you into a random battle with various monsters. Defeating these monsters, like in most RPGs, will give you XP for leveling up. You'll also be able to find consumables that can heal your characters or revive down friends, as well as equipment to boost your stats. Battles involve a real-time system where you can move freely and attack as much as you want to. This isn't a turn-based game, even though to some people it can look like it from screenshots. Although it may look like you can move freely in the 3D space, you actually can't. You can only move in a 2D space based on the enemy that you're targeting, so you need to be careful of that and move with purpose. The combat is very, what I would call deliberate. Usually wading into a group of enemies can get you stun-locked to death relatively easily. You do need to be somewhat strategic, at least in some of the tougher fights. Luckily, you have other party members with you most of the time. You can actually set their behaviour as well, which is a nice touch. For example, maybe you want one ally to hang back and heal the party. Maybe you want another character to be more aggressive or less aggressive. Or maybe you want a certain character not use their magic at all. The choice is up to you. I won't be going into any of the story details simply because I don't want to spoil anything for the people who've never played it before. The gameplay and cutscenes you're seeing are from the very early game, probably less than an hour into it, I would estimate. What I will say though is that the music is really nice and suits the game in pretty much every setting. I wouldn't say it's a soundtrack that really sticks in my head like Shenmue does, for example, but it's generally really great during gameplay. I think a lot of the love for these kind of games comes from the nostalgia of the people who played it when it was new and when they were young. I suppose that kind of goes without saying really, but there is something special about discovering a world that you want to explore, and one that really pulls you in and makes you want to see every bit of it. I don't know about you, but as I get older, I find it harder and harder to find those types of experiences, and I guess that's probably normal. After all, you know far more about how the real world works and how games work at 30 than you do at 13. Some games, when I was younger, seemed like actual magic to me, and Tales of Symphonia was definitely one of them. So there you go, that was my first Lost Treasures video, and it was just, I don't know, really nice to go back and play this game, to record the footage for this video. I really do love the game, it's definitely a classic, and I think it's something that everyone should play at least once, assuming of course that you like RPGs. If you're someone who's new to collecting for the PlayStation 3, I would say, yeah, pick this one up. It's usually pretty cheap to buy and pretty easy to find, so maybe give it a try if it looks interesting to you. Of course, if you're collecting for the Gamecube, pick it up for the Gamecube. And as I mentioned earlier, it's also on PC as well. I genuinely hope that this video may have helped someone out there to discover this game. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, maybe leave a comment down below, feel free to leave a like, or even subscribe if you want to. All of my important info is in the video description as always. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, let's go! Demon Fang! No taste! Sonic Blast!
Enough for you!
Taste! Taste! Sonic Blast! No way! Taste! Demon Fang! Demon Fang! Taste! Demon Fang! Taste! No way!
you!
Taste! I was just warming up.